Just give me liberty, or give me death.
My name is William Thomas Jr. We have a couple members of our board here from the Improvement League as well. Janelle Johnson, Henry Davis, Henry Johnson, and our longtime member Henry Johnson as well, his son in the back. Again, C.L. Townsend is a member, as well as Ione is a member of the Improvement League. All right, so again, like I said, we're a nonprofit organization. It's been operating in Plant City since 1982, founded by the late Jerry Bailey, who was an educator in Hillsborough County. We mainly focus on a number of entities such as education, economic development, and a couple of noble projects in the community are the African American Museum, the Bing Rooney House, as well as the CSI, Junior CSI Forensic Science Program. We've got middle school, high school kids enrolled in the Forensic Science Program. It's probably one of the kind in the state. These kids attend and compete in statewide level conferences with professionals. In addition to that, of course, we have the MLK Festivals coming up in January. That's a cultural arts festival we conduct. In addition to the number of entities we're involved with the city.
Out of 10 times, I'm in favor of charter schools. I'm in favor of anything that is going to afford our children, District 58 and the state, a world-class education.
Thank you. Again, I remind you that this is only the second panelist in the round two, and hold your applause to the round as hope was over. Our third panelist has his questions, Mr. Coronado.
It's all in Spanish. Chinese, more fluent in Thai. We're going to go into the question on government. The role and the size of government is common in our lives. There are differences within our community about the right, on balance, what local and state federal governments should do. This applies to the area of personal responsibility versus to the public goods and services should provide it. There are also those who would like to see our state legislature return to meeting every 2 years and reduce the amount of legislation that is created. So what is your vision of the role of state government versus the local government and federal government in dealing with the economy, education, environment, and public safety? What is your view about the role of corporations in government versus individuals? What role should religion play in the function of government? That's 3 questions.
Yes.
So my vision for government is that the government would actually pay attention to the interests of the people for once, right? I mean, think about how many issues we have. Right now, there is a super majority in government. The Republicans can pass any legislation they want, and I would actually differ with you. I don't know how much legislation they're passing, but they are. It's definitely not for us. They're not getting much done, and I think that's on purpose. They want to show us that government doesn't work. They don't want us to have faith or belief in the system, the only system we have that is transparent and that we, the people, own. Yes, it's government, but it's not one big negative thing. We are the government. This right here is government. We, the people, form the government. And so we, the people, pay taxes, we fund it, and we decide what to do with it. So why are schools failing? Why is the economy doing worse? Why don't we have decent public transportation? Why is the environment polluted? The role of government is very important, and I think we need to reimagine the relationship between representatives and the people. When it comes to corporations versus individuals, I am against Citizens United. I don't think a corporation is a human being. That corporation should not be allowed to give unlimited amounts of money to campaigns, to individuals. We deserve to know who is funding this candidate, where are they getting their money from, because if we don't know who backs them, we don't know how they're going to vote. So I believe we need to reimagine the relationship between the people and their government. The state of Florida, the legislature, that's our legislature. And if we want to improve our society, we need to engage with it. And that's why I'm running for office.
Well, 1991 to 1999, I had the pleasure to working in the government of Puerto Rico. I working in the State House of Representatives, and I had the honor I can choose my future. My future was to develop my experience in the government to be a better public servant. So when you decide to be a better public servant, that means you want to serve to the people. And he's right what he say about the government. We are the government. But if we don't get out and cast our votes, somebody take a control about our community, about our government. I share this with you because I think it's very important for the people to understand that the job of state representative is a part-time job. I have a commitment to do this job full-time. Full-time. It's hard to so many state representatives to create legislation every 2 years because they are focused on their personal lives, professional duties, and take care of the business. I know how to survive with $29,000 a year. I have a commitment to work 5 days of the week, 8 hours a day, representing the community, not only 60 days in Tallahassee. That's the only way we can resolve any inconvenience on this district and around the state of Florida. We need people commitment to work for the government and represent the people. No government create policies against the people. How we can do this? Cast your vote and elect people who are available to drop their lives to represent the community. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Mr. Giovanni.
Well, so I heard one thing in that question that I absolutely loved, and that's the idea of government meeting once every 2 years. That sounds fantastic. We don't need to meet every single year to make up laws and enact legislations. And I mean, I read something actually earlier today where the Hillsborough County commissioners are looking at voting on a law to put regulations on dog trainers. We're making up things, and the more we meet, the more problems we're going to find and enact legislation on. It's just going to inhibit our overall lives. Local governments, hands down, by far, should be making the decisions for the people. I know there's going to be a vote coming up. I believe it's going to be on the next voting cycle to see whether gambling should be legal throughout the entire state of Florida. My opinion on that is it's not up to the state of Florida to decide. It's up to the local communities. If Hillsborough County wants it and Pinellas County doesn't want it, then let Hillsborough County have it and Pinellas County not have it. Why do we have Tallahassee up here mandating these things across the entire state? It doesn't make sense. To answer your question about the role of religion in government, as a strong Christian, that sounds like a great idea, Pastor. It really does. Unfortunately, legislating morality and getting religion deeply ingrained into our actual laws and legislations we put forward are problems. We can look at it any sort of religious oligarchy, if you will. Let's look at the government of Saudi Arabia, for example. Women can't drive due to religion. Does that make sense? Let's look at the old religion or the old religious laws that we had back in early Europe, where the Catholic Church was the government. It doesn't serve the needs of the people. So even though as a strong Christian it sounds great, that's not the purpose of government. That's the purpose of the churches, the mosques, the Buddhist temples. That's their job. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. McClure.
As it relates to the levels of government, when you start looking at the local to the state to the federal level, it almost looks like it's a trampoline, it's a jumping board up, and when that politics take place and subsequently dysfunction. I think having an open dialogue amongst those levels of government would be a far better solution to the infighting and the posturing to get to that next level. We've talked about preemption this evening. You're going to have a homestead ballot in 2018 to increase homestead exemption. And I personally believe that that's a good measure. I think that that's something that passes tax dollars back on to the property owners. It's a good thing. But city commissioners and county commissioners say our budgets are going to be busted. Having communication, having dialogue, saying, hey, this is something that we want to do. We want to pass this back on the taxpayers, but you guys are going to be all right. Community by community. I don't think that's happening quite like it should. And so I can only pledge this. If I'm elected your representative from this district, I plan on meeting with all of our local officials as regularly as possible to make sure that I'm understanding what is going on in your individual neighborhoods, your communities, and that we're doing the best for you up in Tallahassee.
Thank you. This is the end of round 2, and applause, please. Anybody need to take a break? break, or are you all okay?
Just give me liberty, or give me